This video is powered by the pros at Pascal Air Plumbing and Electric. Arkansas owned, Arkansas operated. GoPascal.com.
Tom, I want to give you a round of applause. Your team's 1-0. Atlanta Falcons defeated Carolina Panthers rookie Bryce Young this week, and I know you're happy to see Falcons and Desmond Ridder get that first victory.
Yeah, we don't need to spend too much time on it, but I'm happy. Desmond Ridder had a really nice QB rating, kind of like KJ Jefferson, man. He's got a really good QB efficiency rating.
Let's start with KJ. They haven't been able to run the football without the threat of him the first two games. If you're an Arkansas football fan, if you're Sam Pittman and Cody Kennedy, is that a concern that you haven't been able to just hand the ball off and go to work against these first two opponents?
Yeah, I believe it is, and it was probably the centerpiece of Sam Pittman's postgame and a pretty good chunk of his Monday presser. What's going on? It's really a combination of everything. It's a new offensive scheme. You got a bunch of new offensive linemen. And in the last game, you didn't have Rocket Sanders, so you have a lot of backs who aren't used to having the number of carries that, say, A.J. Green had. And, I made the mistake of thinking that, they would blow through Kent State. UCF ran for a ton of yards on them, and I thought Arkansas would too, and all those backs would get a lot of yardage, a lot of carries, and it just wasn't the case. So I do believe it's a concern that because I asked Sam Pittman about it specifically, were you surprised you had to run KJ so much? And he's like, yeah, we had a lot of runs in for him, but it was mostly short yardage stuff, like converting a 3rd and 2 or something like that. But they ended up having to run him on a 4th down, and there were several QB end runs, just to try to move the chains. And they didn't think they would have to go there for that game. And so there's going to be a lot of fine-tuning, cleaning up to do. The way the running back tracks that they take, there was a specific pin and pull that Rashad Dubinion tried to bounce outside the kick-out block when he really needed to be behind the blocks, see the kick out, and then power through where the hole's created. So, yeah, there's concern, but where would we be without drama? Every college football team in the country, there's drama at some point, some part of their team. There's drama. So, for the Razorback standpoint, at least they're 2-0, and there's going to be a lot of attention on this game because BYU's in a better place right now than they were when the Razorbacks faced them last year.
Yeah. So yesterday, Coach talked about run fits. Let's help the audience kind of understand. You touched on some of the issues with the run game there in Dubinion. When he talks about run fits and getting that scheme right, give us some more detail on kind of the nuts and the bolts he went into yesterday.
Well, every run is just a choreographed thing. The linemen have their assignments. Where's the hole supposed to be? Are you turning a guy out? Are you double teaming a guy? And the running back knows how it's supposed to go. But if they kind of get ahead of themselves, specifically on this one particular play, a pin and pull, you're trying to get the edge guy kicked out, and the running back cuts up inside it. And, Bo Limber pulls and does his job, and I think Patrick Kudus pulled on this particular play, and they kick out the end guy, and you cut up behind it. So there's tracks that you want your running backs to follow. And on some plays, they're just not moving any bodies. And when the safeties come up and fill, the safeties can go right to where the gap is supposed to be, and they tackle you at the line of scrimmage, and there's been a lot of that. But on the plays where you block it up right, you do want to go through where the hole's supposed to be and get the yardage that's available. And late in the game, Dubinion and A.J. Green did that, and they got 4, 5, 8-yard chunks on that last series. But as Sam Pittman himself said, the way we ran the ball in the last series is the way we kind of expected to do it the whole game. And to make a long story short, the shortening of the games due to the clock rules and the way Kent State ran the clock, it was clever of them, but it put this certain pressure on Arkansas when they did not move the ball on their first 3 series, that, suddenly the game had tightened down, and their number of possessions was less, and it added up to what you saw. And as Sam Pittman said, frustration by the Razorbacks.
Yeah. Speaking of frustration, I watched the press conference online. You were in the room, and one of those asking questions, it felt tense from afar watching it. Did Did it feel that way, like he was a little testy with some of the questioning on Saturday night following the game?
Well, he's obviously frustrated that they didn't score as much as they thought they would, and they just didn't have explosive plays. And in the pass game, everything wasn't, kosher. And so, yeah, there was a hint of frustration. And when the questions are kind of repeated, is it the O-lineman? Is it the fact that you're rotating O-lineman so much? Why didn't you create any gaps? That you could tell it was written on his face and in his body language that he was frustrated. Now, Monday, he did a much better job. He went into he was in a much better frame of mind.
He'd seen the film by
detail.
then.
Yeah, and he
went into detail about why things were happening, and he understood. As reporters, we're basically asking questions about what fans have seen and what they want to know about. And honestly, the coaches are just as frustrated in themselves that they haven't just been able to blow holes open and have the kind of explosive run game that they've had in years past. And so, in a way, it reflects what they're thinking themselves. And so, yeah, there was a great amount of frustration.
We're talking with Tom Murphy here on the McClarty-Daniel hotline. One of the other things he added in the press conference is running backs got to break some tackles, and they got to go to the right spot. And I think it's easy for us to blame the offensive line because it's just easy to do. Tom, what did you think about him and just no rocket on Saturday? So the expectations, again, once fall on A.J. Green, Dubinion, and Johnson this week.
Yeah, it all works in harmony, right? If everybody does their job and there's a hole, sometimes the back has to make the safety miss or break the tackle, and there hasn't been a whole lot of that. So as much as we've praised this running back core, and it is a very good running back core, they're not in midseason form, and I think when they get there, we're going to see a lot more shedding of that last tackle and longer plays. And hopefully Rocket Sanders, the swelling on his knee goes down. They find out the issue, and he's rehabbed. I mean, I think if it was a torn ligament or something, we'd know by now. It doesn't appear to be that. Maybe some kind of ligament strain or what have you. And so in a couple of weeks, maybe he's back. It doesn't sound like he might be ready for LSU, but maybe the week after. And then, you want to see the running back at his core at its full strength, but it's all part of the deal. Everybody do your job, and if it's part of the job for the running backs to break a tackle of a safety or a corner, then go do that.
Do you think Coach and Cody Kennedy rotate the offensive line this Saturday night? Have we seen the last of that?
It depends on you score the game and all that kind of stuff. I anticipate a close game. Andrew Chamley earned his way to the starting lineup. Devin Manuel's numbers, if you look at Pro Football Focus, are better than Andrew Chamley's, and Josh Braun's numbers are better than Tykees Crawford at right guard. So I think you're probably going to see a little bit more concrete five, and that was another point of frustration for Sam Pittman, asked about rotating linemen. I mean, no, they're not the only team in the country that's looking at a bunch of different guys, but it's been Sam Pittman's game plan over the years to try to settle on five and, rotate in here and there. But I do think it's going to quiet down some, but these guys needed the experience. I mean, you've got to see what you have, and that's one of the points he was making Saturday night, is he's trying to find guys who can help him win.
Tom Murphy with us on the McClarty-Daniel hotline. While we focused on the lack of a ground game and offensive line play, you've seen a defense shine that's only given up one touchdown through 2 games. Now, you got to measure the competition, but Tom, this defense right now is certainly give a little breathing room, a little slack in the rope, if you will, for the offense.
Yeah, they really have. I mean, they've been a turnover-forcing defense. And to the offense's credit, no turnovers through 2 games. KJ's got a nice efficiency rating, by the way. Even though he was off a little bit Saturday, he's got a good passer rating. On defense, they're rotating a bunch of guys in. You saw contributions from Jeff Coate. Derek Mason made the point on the broadcast that, he didn't have any stats last week. And, he was feeling it. So he got 1.5 sacks, co-defensive lineman of the week in the SEC. John Morgan had a couple of big plays. Jashad Stewart got back in there and made an impact. Mm-hmm. When Chris Paul came in the second half, you could see he was on a mission, and he made some big plays. And they did this all with, Dwight McLaughlin contributing 1 snap. And so Keon Stewart who I did not quite realize he was their number 3 corner. Well, apparently he clearly is. Had a decent game other than giving up the big pass. So they're getting contributions, rotating a lot of guys in, and it's been kind of fun to watch. When SEC play hits, there's going to be different levels of adversity. They gave up some drags to the tight end in that game, and so that's on the linebackers, and they got to work on that part.
But when they get down to the red zone, they seem to always find a way to get the stop, and they usually do it with third down pressure.
They do, and the punctuation mark, obviously, in that game was the goal line stand after Keon Stewart allowed the 36-yard reception down to the 2, and it was combo stuff. I mean, I think it was like Torian Carter and Hudson Clark on play 1, Chris Paul solo on play 2. I can't remember on play 3, and then, of course, Landon Jackson just blew by his guy on 4th down, and that play had no chance. So kudos to those guys. They've been on point. It's a little bit. It's a turnaround from last year, and it's been pretty neat to watch.
Pretty remarkable how aggressive at times that Travis Williams has them dialed up.
Absolutely, it is, and I mean, the large percentage of our dialogue has been about offensive problems, run game, all that kind of stuff. Mm-hmm. And when you're not getting talked about, it's like when you're the deep snapper. You're not getting talked about much. You're doing well, and that's the Arkansas defense right now. I mean, people are going to talk about them, obviously, as a whole. They did a really good job. Kent State had a couple of decent drives, and, of course, the one at the end. But the Razorbacks kept them off the field a lot in the second half.
BetOnline is your number one source for all your betting needs. Get the latest odds, lines, and matchup reports for baseball, boxing, golf, and more. BetOnline continues to be the fastest and easiest way to place your wagers, including live betting and your favorite casino and card games available to play right from your phone. Head to the website or use your mobile device to sign up today and get in on the action. Remember to use our promo code BELIEVE, that's BLEAV, for your 50% welcome bonus on your first deposit. Bet online, where the game starts.